Welcome. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining, and I'm trying to take you to the journey we have been to with the creation of the Mirari mainboard. Probably everybody has seen this picture online somewhere. It suddenly popped up, and let's introduce the team, because the team at the moment is me, and it's Harold Canning. Me, Dave Koelman. Maybe you know me from creating an X5000-like Frankenstein machine with multiple graphics cards, so I could run Linux, MorphOS, and Amiga OS on my X5000. Because I thought that would be fun, so I tried, and I succeeded. And Trevor picked it up, and he wrote a soapbox article regarding this. So if you know me, it's probably because of the dual graphics. And besides that, I also test all the Linux kernels that Christian Sigotsky is porting to keep the whole Linux spirit alive. The other team member is Harold. Harold Canning is an electronics design engineer who knows how to build hardware for the industrial and automotive industry, is very well known with the PowerPC architecture, and for me, he's a wizard. We met through the X5000. Me and Harold both have the X5000. I bought one in 2017. I liked the machine, and on a certain point of time I got an email, and it was like, "Hi Dave, I see you have an X5000, I've seen you on the forum, how do you like the machine?" And eventually he bought one, and that's actually the link between me and Harold. We both had the X5000, and we were having fun with the machine. But when I knew Harold was capable of creating hardware, I was getting eager and teasing him in 2021 and 2022. "Harold, could you please create a mainboard, an entry-level mainboard, because the Tabor back then was not yet released, and it took a while," and I was like, "Why not? Eh? Maybe we can try." And so I start bashing him, until a certain point in May 2024, Harold told me, "Dave, I'm looking at KiCad. KiCad is an open source platform where I can design PCBs, and I need a project." I said, "You need a project? How about an entry-level PowerPC mainboard for the masses?" And he was like, "Well, we could do that. But if we want to make it affordable, if we want to make it payable for everyone, we have to walk the China route." The China routes are companies like PCBWay, JLC PCB, because if we outsource stuff like this in the EU, labor, bill of materials, it will just become too expensive. So we chose JLC PCB as eventually the manufacturer of the board that Harold was drawing. And like said, he started in May 2024. And then December 2024, the first package arrived. Harold designed an 8-layer PCB with a BGA processor on top, NVMe slots, USB 3, and I was like, wow, sounds like a miracle. It sounds like a miracle. It was amazing. It was more than amazing. So I was back then thinking about how to name this board or project or whatever. And I stumbled upon Mirari. Mirari stands for being amazed, or it's amazing, or a miracle. So the question where did the name came from? That's where the name came from. Because I think if someone can go to his attic, work his ass off, and eventually design a mainboard from scratch, and a year later we have the mainboard in our hands, I think it's a miracle. So that's why we came up with the name Mirari. My background is not that much regarding electronics, not at all. If I would have had that board being shipped to me, I would probably take the ATX power cable and plugged it in. And I probably would have burned the board or something. So Harold said, no, 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 no. We need to do a white smoke test. You need to check every component, if it's running and if it's not burning or if the soldering is good. I went, okay. So eventually we had 5 Mirari boards. And we shipped 4 of them to developers of our team, and we had 1 left. I'm not going to talk about the 1 left in very detailed, but eventually the board came to Frank. Frank from the MorphOS team. We will dive into that in a minute. But like I told you, I'm not very familiar with designing hardware. I would put in the ATX power plug and probably nothing would have happened, because a mainboard needs an operating system, a BIOS, something that can trigger the components to do what they need to do. And in the X5000, the Uboot version they are using was a 2018 version. Harold was like, I want something newer. I want something more up to date. We want NVMe support. We want USB 3. So we landed with the 2024 version of Uboot. And of course, that was a bit tricky. They stripped out some things because the PowerPC stuff is becoming a little bit obsolete on certain software platforms. For example, if you take a look at this, we had no output because there was no VESA driver enabled, and we did some hacking and trickery stuff, and eventually we had a Uboot, a working Uboot, and with a working Uboot, we thought it's all fine. It wasn't that simple because, yeah, we had some problems as well. We had a clock chip that was not functional in the beginning. We had to solder it off and put it back on the proto. We had some resistors that were missing, so some slots were not recognized. But I think that all belongs to designing a prototype mainboard. And also this was cleared out, and with the new prototype all these things have disappeared. So the next stage with a working board was to get an operating system up and running. An operating system up and running means Linux, because Linux has a wide support of all the components on the board. And there we have Christian again, just like in the presentation of Trevor. Christian has been porting these kernels all time already for the X5000. And due to us using the E5500 core, it has a lot of similarities. So that core actually just booted. And in a very short time, we had several Linux distributions up and running. Again, incredible. So it was up to the next stage because we wanted this Amiga-ish system running on our board. And I had one board left, and that board landed in Dortmund with Frank. And Frank started to do his magic, his coding magic, and we don't know how he did it, but he did it, and he did it fast. Because he got the board at May 17th, and every now and then he sent me a screenshot what he was doing. But May 23, he started sending me pictures like this, and I was like, is that ambient running already? That's impossible. But it was not. He actually ported the operating system, MorphOS, onto the Mirari board. And if you take a look at the boot now, you can see the machines running. They work perfectly. So, yeah, our journey keeps on continuing every step by step. Another thing to know is we are not some commercial company. We are just two guys, me and Harold, building a board. And now we have Frank with the MorphOS team getting an OS up and running. So far, so good. And there we have it. MorphOS on the Mirari. A big step in our journey. And maybe Frank can tell something about porting MorphOS. Not yet. Hello, hello. Maybe someone can... No one? You can take my... Is there someone who can turn on the microphone? No one? Okay, take this one. Testing, testing.
Does it work? Okay. So now that we've seen what happened in the last 2 years, I want to backtrack a bit and talk about MorphOS, because I noticed that a lot of people still don't know about it too much. They know the name, they know it's somehow affiliated to Amiga OS or Amiga, but don't know much of the history. MorphOS has a rich history in Amiga actually, because the people who started it started with Amiga OS. Myself, I started with an Amiga 1000 maybe around 1987 and had a lot of fun with it and got into programming and into Amiga OS and did a lot of things with it. Time went by. We were in the 90s and companies like Phase 5 started, built 68K accelerator cards and more stuff. And we've seen the bankruptcy of Commodore in 1994. So the company, Phase 5, decided I was in talks with follow-up companies to build a PowerPC computer machine for the Amiga, or an Amiga replacement, or a new Amiga computer. But eventually, it didn't work out. So Phase 5 decided to build another accelerator card with a PowerPC processor on it as a sort of co-processor. And that was the birth of the power-up system. The cards were released in 1997 as Cyberstorm PPC and Cyberstorm Blizzard PPC with a 6840 and 6860 accelerator or processor, including some 603 PowerPC and 604. And now we tried to make use of the PowerPC. So we invented some power-up kernel to run PowerPC code on the PowerPC alongside the 68K processor. So we still required the Amiga OS, but tried to make use of the PowerPC on this card. Time went on, and the idea emerged that Phase 5 could build a machine, a complete machine, which replaces or which doesn't need any kind of Amiga OS or Amiga, which was the A-Box around end of the 90s. I hope you forgive me if I'm not correct on the dates, because I'm talking freely now. But but actually the project started, and Phase 5 went bankrupt about 2000. So the project didn't become anything, or was never released. So our problem was that the software was quite advanced at that time, and we thought about a way how we could release it to public. So we decided in about August of 2000 to release a version of MorphOS 0.1 for the existing PowerPC board or the existing power-up boards. And this was the start of MorphOS, actually. And now we are, while Amiga is celebrating 40 years of Amiga, we are celebrating 25 years of MorphOS, actually. So time went by. Some new companies came up, like Bplan and Thendic France, who had the idea to make a commercial business based on PowerPC and our MorphOS operating system. So they talked to us, Ralf Schmidt and me, how we could get along with the project, or how we could more people involved. There were already some more people involved before, but they tried to organize it a bit, get it a bit better organized to get things faster, get things done faster. So this is when projects like Ambient started, the Ambient desktop, with some sort of a mix of Workbench and Directory Opus Magellan. It's a bit of a mashup. And some other projects like TurboPrint and whatever, but it's emerged into some project to replace the complete Amiga OS. We released several versions, and along the way, projects like Pegasus 1 and Pegasus 2 were done by Bplan and later Genesee, which I think appeared around 2005 as a Pegasus 2, and we always updated MorphOS for it. So we were not, we didn't have to rely on Amiga OS anymore. Maybe I forgot to say that lots of components at that time we used for MorphOS were based around errors. So errors played an important part to get some components of the operating system done at that time. And well, about 2005 or 2006, we also had the Effica board, and also released the final 1.4.5 version of MorphOS running on PowerUp, and also the new PowerPC driven machines. Okay, then the next problem arrived, that Genesee decided to not build any more PowerPC machines. They wanted to build an Effica based on ARM CPUs, and that was not compatible with our MorphOS, unfortunately. So the problem was that it wasn't really a problem. The thing was that we had to think about a way how to continue with our project, which finally took a while. We had a bit of a pause until new MorphOS releases appeared, and it took until 2008 until finally some Effica version for MorphOS was shown. But we had already some other plans to move on with PowerPC. So finally in 2009, some Mac Mini release appeared, because we realized that even if Apple moved on to some Intel-based hardware, there's still plenty of Apple machines around, not plenty, 10,000 or 100,000 of machines around that could be used to run MorphOS. So we decided to make, especially Mark Olsen worked on that, to make MorphOS going on the Apple devices. This was continued. It was released in 2009, I think, after the actual 2.0 release. It was like 2.4 when the Mac Mini support was officially released. And later on, PowerBook was supported in 2012. I need to mention that all this, any release after 2.0 was not related to any company anymore. It was basically driven by the developers who did the whole project, because we got the okay from the original companies that we could do whatever we want with the operating system. So we were basically free with it and could do whatever we wanted. And did I mention 2012? In 2012 was another milestone, which was the PowerBook, the first time when we were able to run MorphOS on some laptop or on some movable device. Some more updates followed, and about 2015, A-Cube approached us with their SEM460 if we could support their hardware. Later on, we also got contacted by Aeon with their X5000, so we did a MorphOS port for the machine and released it in 2018. And to wrap things up, we finally ended today or in May 2025, and I got in contact with Dave. I never heard about this project before. It was totally surprising that some two people from the Netherlands tried to get a board done based on PowerPC, and it sounded totally appealing to me and interesting. So we talked about it, and I asked Dave basically, is there any way board? He told me, yeah, we have 5 boards, there's one left. And I basically said, yeah, send it over and I'll have a look. Because I knew it was compatible, somewhat compatible or similar to the E5500 thing we also already did for the X5000. And so I started the porting, and that's basically how we got here. Oh, I think we can.
Hello? Yeah. Thanks, Frank. That was quite a history line. MorphOS on our booth, because I'm also an Amigan, many do not know that MorphOS, for example, is supporting dual monitors. You can, at the moment, click an application, say jump to a specific screen, and the application will open on a specific screen, which is, I think, something worth mentioning. Having dual screens, Wayfarer, the browser, on the left side, and the applications you're working on the right side. So yeah, and this is all in the new 3.20 version, I think. Yes? Okay. Still needs to be released. Not released yet. One slide more? Yeah? A little teaser. Yes, Frank told me 5 minutes left. Okay. It's a bit of an outlook. We all know the situation with graphics drivers. Graphics drivers are very complex, and MorphOS is still relying on a lot of older graphics cards. But work has started. Work has started on the RX line of graphics cards. And we already have a 2D driver running. So hopefully in the near future we can also benefit of the RX line of graphics cards to be more compatible and pave the way to the future. I think that's, yeah. Thanks to Mirari. Mirari is just a piece of hardware. Any piece of hardware without an operating system can do nothing. So we all need each other on this. Yeah, that's about it. For people who want to know more or follow the progress, you can check our site, but I would also say scan the QR code and join the Discord server of MorphOS. So me and Harold are very active there. Frank and the rest of the team is also very active. You have short lines, you can ask us the stuff you like. We're there. We're not a huge company, we're just a few Amigans trying to make something work. And anyone can go over to the table and just ask anything you like. That's it for now. Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The big question.
Also, ich werde auf Deutsch sprechen. Also, die PowerPC-Prozessoren werden, ich habe so gehört, nur bis 2035 hergestellt. Und was weiter?
After 2035?
2035. Exactly.
What's next after 2035?
With Mirari.
I don't know. I have no idea. We are still happy that there is a vendor like NXP having a lifespan that long because they stretched the lifespan of the T1024 processor and also the T2081 because they were obsolete in the first place, but they extended the life cycle with another 10 years if I recall correct. So yeah, what happens after 2035? I don't know. We create something new.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yes, it is.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering if you're going to release also a Mirari board with the faster CPU, with the Ultivec CPU.
Good question. And it's being asked before. The board design that Harold made is ready to fit the T2081, which is the E6500 based core, 8-core CPU, faster. Yeah, it's on the roadmap, but like I said, we are a two-man army. We're focusing on bringing this first, but it's absolutely not a no. So the board is pretty ready for it, but if we start that process, we need to recompile Uboot also for the E6500, etc. Yeah, but it's not a no. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, hello. So I think the biggest question would be how much could it cost in the end, and when could it be released for the public?
What is the cost and when can you buy it? That's the big question. Yes, that's the big question. An honest question is that we are aiming for a price somewhere between 500 and 600 euros. We are also learning about the production quality of the manufacturer because our last yield of 25 boards, we had quite some failures. And those failures, we need to adjust the price to get it at least profitable for us. Otherwise, I need to donate money and send you a board. And I would love to send you a board. I don't need to earn much, but so we're still working on it. But we're aiming at between 500 to 600 euros. That's for the board with the CPU and the RAM. If that somehow will not work out, if the yields will be less than 70%, for example, maybe we should stop. Because our mission and our vision and the goal was to bring an entry-level board and not some very expensive, overpriced thing. It's a hobby machine. It needs to be affordable and it needs to be fun. So, when? I hope if we... When? Okay. We can produce boards pretty quickly. JLC PCB, it will take us 8 weeks from the order to have the boards in-house. We are looking a bit on how the reactions are on the booth to get an idea of how much how much the quantity will be for the next time. But let's say next year boards will be available. Yeah. And if it's the first quarter or the third quarter, I don't know.
It's a multi-core system, right?
Yes, it is.
When do you plan to support all cores? Maybe with SMP?
Frank, can you?
Does it work? Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
This works.
Okay, try again. Yeah, multi-core is a long story for the Amiga-like operating system and Amiga OS itself.
Yeah.
So obviously we've noticed that the T1042 has 4 cores, and we are thinking about ways to make use of it, but we can't disclose anything now. So we will definitely try to make it available in some form, but it's rather unlikely that it will be SMP. But we've shown in the past that 2 CPUs can be used to communicate and can work together and interchange or synchronize data. So we will offer a way to make use of the additional cores.
AMP.
I suppose AMP, no? Because,
AMP.
SMP.
Like this,
we
yeah.
can't.
Because anyone who announces SMP support for Amiga OS maybe didn't really get it to work yet.
Maybe work in process, maybe a future project. Time will tell.
But what I definitely can say is that any board sold, whenever it's ready, will be able to run MorphOS right away.
Yeah? Any other questions? No one? Okay.